What's up, Jacob here. I just filmed this entire video and forgot to hit record. So here we are, take two. Now, for your guys' sake, I'm gonna keep this super short, simple, and to the point. I've watched videos, informational videos on fishing and such, and for me personally, I don't like it when they're like 30 to 40 minutes long because I just sometimes don't have that much time, and I just wanna know what I want to know. So I'm gonna try to keep this at a few minutes and just talk to you guys about the difference between mono, fluoro, and braid and what I use them for. Now, starting off with mono, this is the line that has been around the longest by far, that a lot of people probably used growing up because it's just what was available and it's a lot cheaper than the other two options. For me personally, I only ever use mono if I'm throwing topwaters. And the reason that is mono has a lot more stretch than your other two options, and it also floats. Now, those two things both work great for topwaters because most topwaters have treble hooks, so that stretch helps you keep those fish on there, and the floating helps you work those lures better. If you're throwing fluorocarbon with your topwaters, they're probably not going to work as great as they would if you're throwing mono. Now, a big downside of mono is how much memory it has, and what I mean by that is when you have your line spooled with monofilament, it's going to remember those curls, and it just gets really annoying when it has those curls. It also get more kinks and stuff like that. That line just holds more memory of those movements, and it gets pretty annoying. Now, I typically never do this, but I know some people will. They will use mono for certain deep diving crankbaits or any kind of diving bait to make it not dive as much because it does float, so it'll keep that a little bit higher than it would if you're throwing fluorocarbon or braid. Now, moving on to fluorocarbon, it also still has a little bit of that memory, which is why I typically never fully spool my reels with either mono or fluoro. I 100% of the time line my reels with braid first and then go to a fluorocarbon leader. Now, one of the biggest pluses of fluorocarbon leader and why I use it a lot is its abrasion resistance, and why that's important to me is because I'm fishing for fish that can break me off with abrasion, and also fishing out on mangrove lines in the saltwater. Other advantages that fluorocarbon has, it has a smaller diameter, which for me doesn't affect me too much because I'm not lining my reels, but for those people that do want to line with mono or fluoro instead of braid, it does help you get a lot more line on there. There's less stretch than mono, which is important for jig heads and other single hooks other than treble hooks. It's more sensitive, so when you're finesse fishing with, say, Senkos for bass fishing or any finesse baits or shrimp for saltwater, it's going to be a lot better because you can feel better than you would if you were using mono, as well as it also sinking better and not floating. Another huge plus of fluorocarbon compared to mono is because it has that smaller diameter, it is less visible in the water. And that's super important too, because even when you're fishing in a place that is a lot murkier than others, there's still a chance those fish are going to see that line, and it helps a lot when your line isn't as visible. Now, moving on to braid from mono and fluoro, this is what I spool all of my reels with, and the main reason is you get so much more line on your reels when you spool them with braid. It has a much smaller diameter than fluoro or mono, and that low memory, like no memory with braid, for me is just personally a lot more manageable to deal with when it's spooled on your lines. It's not going to remember those curls, so it just comes off a lot smoother, and you don't have to worry about there being sort of that distance in your line where there's curls, so you're not getting the exact distance you want from those fish. Braid is also much stronger, and that becomes important when, like I said, being abrasion resistant, getting wrapped up in mangroves, if you're fishing in grassy areas for bass, or just grassy areas in general in saltwater or freshwater, it helps a lot to have that really strong braid. Now, that being said, me personally, on 99% of my rods and reels, I have them started with braid. My reels are all lined with braid, and then I use a fluorocarbon leader. That is 99% of the time what I do, and what I suggest for anyone that wants to just get sort of a do-all setup. If you just have one setup, get braid, fluorocarbon leader. Now, to sort of explain what I mean by braid with leader, I have a setup right here to show an example. So this is my Saltus, which is lined with braid, and you can see here I have this, so braid to fluorocarbon leader right here, and I have about maybe 4 feet of this leader to my lure. Now, what that does is your braid is insanely visible in that water, and it helps you get whatever size line, weight line you need for the fish you're targeting. This braid is probably only, I want to say I put 20 or 30 pound braid on here. Honestly, can't remember personally, but I have 40-pound leader on here. So this leader is going to be stronger, less visible, more abrasion resistant, more stretch, and it's just great for also tying these lures on. Tying lures with braid is pretty dang annoying, but tying with fluorocarbon is a lot easier to retie when you're switching your lures a lot like I do. Now that pretty much does it for the differences between all these lines and what I use them for. I'm not as educated as a lot of people would be. That's just all my personal opinions from my time fishing, and when it comes to all of this and the brands that you want to use, it really is all opinionated, just based on what you like and what you want to use. I will say the only advice I have for buying braid is if you're going to Walmart, don't get anything but Power Pro. Spider wire, I've used it, it stinks. Other than that, I haven't used many other brands. I don't have much insight or advice on that. I just have used Power Pro my whole life and I love it. It works great. I have used Nomad, I believe, Nomad Design once, and I can't remember if I liked it or not. Because I don't remember it, that means it didn't stink, because I would remember if it sucked. But typically, Power Pro. As far as Fluorocarbon Leader goes, I typically always just buy Seagar, however you want to say it. It really is personal preference. That's just usually what I grab. Their blue label is pretty much what I grab every single time. If I'm fishing for fish that I don't really care about abrasion resistance as much, I will use their gold label because it has a lot smaller diameter, so it's less visible in the water. But it does have less abrasion resistance than their blue label, so it's not technically as strong, even though as far as pull, it's the same strength. That being said, that's all I got for you guys. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you. It's been a hard month just for me to film videos. There's just been a lot going on, but hopefully gonna be able to start cranking some out. I feel like I was on a tear there of posting videos pretty consistently, and then I just kind of hit a wall of not being able to get content, not being able to catch fish, and just not really having a good time with surgery and some other things going on. But I'm back, gonna just be filming simple videos like this just to get videos out there when I'm not able to get other videos done. I'm in the Keys, so gonna be doing some offshore videos for you guys that I'm super stoked about. So once again, thank you for watching. Appreciate you. Stay tuned for the next one. Peace.